Talk radio with the Reverend Dr. Gilberto Rosado. News, commentary, and entertainment. Welcome to today's show. Today I'm going to talk about the little dirty secret that many families have. A little abuse. I call it grandma abuse, actually. And that is, and it's going to be controversial, I'm sure, because a lot of you are guilty of it. And that is, should you pay grandma to watch the kids? It's a little thing that we all do, and sometimes we're not thinking. I believe we're not thinking straight at times. So that's today's show. Join us today. I say that already. Oh boy. Okay, welcome to today's show. I know some people are going to get upset at this, but that's what makes talk radio exciting and interesting. I mean, you got to be interesting. If I would say the same things everyone thinks out there, what would be the reason to listen? But of course, I some people might take a reservation that I'm a reverend and that I need to do this or that or do it in a certain way. But this is talk radio. You get with it. This is the context. Just like interpreting the Bible, stay with the context. And the talk radio is about raising eyebrows and getting people talking and discussing. And sometimes you have to play devil's advocate simply, and this is things for educated people understand this. So getting on with what we're going to do today, I've seen this a lot, and I think it's unjust, really. I don't like it when people are abused. It's simple. It's abuse. It's taking advantage of people and under the guise of blood, family. Blood and family have to eat. They have to pay the rent. They have to put food on the table. They have to put clothes on their backs. They have to put gas in the car. And I don't believe that we should have grandparents or any family member watching kids, and not getting paid for it. It's funny. I've seen it thousands of times. And of course grandparents are, they say, no, don't pay me, save the money. It's like that commercial you see on TV, who's going to pick up the bill, the father or the adult son, and they're both like looking at each other and, I'll take care of this. And you get into that little thing going on there, but that's a one-time thing. Taking your son out or daughter out to dinner and paying the tab, that's a one-time thing, and that's okay. But a consistent 8 hours a day plus watching grandchildren Monday through Friday and then Saturday and then take them to church on Sunday. Why don't you, Grandma? I feel that this is so abusive. It's abusive because you would normally and in other circumstances would pay daycare for these children, and you would pay quite an amount. If you have more than one child, you're talking, in the ballpark, what, 150, 200 per child, if not more, in a daycare facility. So, and the level of care, the quality of care, is it more or is it less than with grandma? I mean, what do you really believe? I believe that grandma daycare, which I'll call it, is of much higher quality and more beneficial for the child than the regular daycare, and especially if your mother, if the grandma in question is someone that really enjoys educating the child and exposing the child to new experiences and developing the child's, cognitive abilities, which I know some grandparents that have that ability, have those skills, obviously much better prepared, much better let me correct myself, in a better position to benefit the child cognitively than taking them to a daycare facility, which those who have worked or observed daycare facilities know that really, just like school is basically the ratio to teacher type of situation. And some will argue, it's good for the children to be socialized and whatnot, but my wife worked, did daycare in the home. My wife also worked for another daycare. The kids are brutalized. You come to the daycare, your kid has a scratch on them. Your kids were terrorized all day long in the classroom. There's always one nutty kid. All you need is one nutty kid to terrorize the whole class. I know, because I hear my wife complain. My wife was terrorized. There was one kid that pulled her glasses off, threw it across the room. And this kid would go around hitting everyone in the class. I mean, you're sending your kids to these daycares, and they're getting beat up. Beat up on, spat upon. They're lucky their eyes are not scratched out of their sockets. This is reality. This is what's going on in daycare, and you pay for that. And the point is that you're paying a premium for this abuse to go on. But when you take him to grandma, you see, because she's family. Well, you just give grandma a little something, and that little something, really, grandma's going to use it on the kid. And if anything, and some are not even paying for giving grandma anything. So, this grandma, she's supposed to take care of the kid. That type of attitude that you guys have. I think that's bad. I believe in what is justice. That's what I believe in, and I believe fair in simple terms. What is fair? I believe that if grandma wasn't around, and she's closer to being not around than you are, what would you do with your child? Simply, you're working, right? So you would have to pay. You would have to pay for this daily terrorism on your child. You would have to pay $200 a week to have other children or expose your child to terrorism every week. And that's the simple fact. And now, so if you still have grandma around, why don't you give grandma the $200 a week? Per child, just like a daycare. I think it's abusive if grandma's taking care of your kids and you don't go out and find out how much it would be to take these kids to daycare, and you don't come back and pay grandma what that would be. I think you're abusing grandma. It's just simple. You're abusing the relationship, and I think that's not fair and not right. I think that if you would have to pay for childcare, I think that you need to pay grandma. I don't think you should take grandma take advantage of grandma. Now, I'm talking daytime hours. I'm talking time where grandma could be out working. She can be out earning $400 or more at taking care of other children, other people's children. They would pay grandma a minimum of $400+ a week to take care of their brood. So why aren't you paying grandma? And you're preventing grandma from going out and making money. She has bills to pay. She has rent. Do you pay her rent? Do you cover her costs? Excuse me. I don't think you do. And so you're not even helping her with the cost of taking care of your child. So like I said, I think this is a bad thing. I think that if you would have to, if it wasn't for grandma, you would have to pay for daycare. And I've seen them, they do. People that grandma moves away, or she passes away, or otherwise is away, they would then pay for child care. And I think that's so hypocritical. I think that if you would pay for a daycare because you have no other option, then if grandma is your only option, I think you should make that effort and pay. I think you should do what is fair and do what is right. And that's my opinion on that. I see no reason why you should take advantage of family just because they're family. And so a lot of people, they want to say, well, it's family. That's what family is there for. Family is not there for you to abuse. I've never read anywhere, not even in the Bible, where it says that you should abuse your family because they're family. But there is a spreading and a predominant atmosphere of family abuse, and particularly grandparent abuse when it comes to raising the kids. I know the grandparent don't want the money. I know that. I know they feel guilty even asking you for help when they need it. But if daughter or son would be considerate in the first place and pay for their child care to grandma, grandma wouldn't be in that problem, would she? That's the whole point. It's ridiculous. It's abuse. And I think it has to stop. So I want to hear what everyone else comments on that. I know I'm going to hear a whole bunch of you say, oh, we can't afford it and this and that. Again, what I said. If you had no grandma available, then what would you do? What would you do? What would you do? And if some of you then would say, well, I could not work then, and things like that. Well, that's another show. But, sometimes you just got to take care of your kids. And if that's the only option, that is the option. But abusing grandma, I don't think is an option for you. I think that is too much abuse, and there's no consideration, and you know it. You know it. And if you don't know that, then when grandma goes away and you're still raising kids, we're going to see then what is it that you devise. But that's the bottom line. For me, I would pay grandma her daycare fee, commensurate with what I would have to pay if she wasn't around. And that's my opinion here today. Make your comments, leave your comments, and share. Controversial, and that's what it's all about. It's talk radio with the Reverend Dr. Gilberto Rosado, news, commentary, and entertainment. They say sometimes I can be entertaining. I'm sure you haven't heard me yet, but when I do get there, that show, you can bookmark it. It should be hilarious once I get there. See you next time.